Good morning, guys. My name is George Furnace again. Today it's Friday, and I promised that I was gonna do part 2 of the studio recording techniques on the same day, but everything just went down in another way. But this is part 2 of our studio recording techniques. What I'm going to touch base today, I'm going to talk about ethics, studio ethics, maybe how you should behave when you're in studio. For me, a studio, it's a very, very important place. It's a beautiful place, and I like taking it very, very serious. The first thing that I want to talk about, if you run the studio, or if you are a producer, or if you are an engineer, and when you are an artist, the first thing, the most important thing is time. Time is very, very important. You need to be punctual. If you are a producer, engineer, the one who runs the studio, no one wants actually to come here to wait for you to try to prep your equipment just to do the recording. The recording, maybe that was just recorded, booked long ago. So you need to understand that when the studio is booked for 10 a.m., you need to get your equipment working by 10 a.m. because the session is starting. So it doesn't matter how long it takes you to sort everything out. If you setting up, for me, if the session starts at 10 a.m., I will come maybe a day before just to set up my equipment and get everything working. Or just set up equipment. Even if I don't test it, just set it up. And then the following day, I will come maybe 2 hours early to come and check all my channels, if my channels are working, and check if all my communication system is working, and all my line checks. And when I'm happy, I'm ready, I'm waiting for the band to come. And then when the band comes, most of the time the artist or the band, if it's the bands, most of the time bands will come maybe an hour early just to do line checks, and then so that you can actually do monitor sends, headphone sends to them so that they can be comfortable with the studio. And that, for me, it's very, very important for you to remember and for you to know that time in studio, it's money, that was for the producer, for the engineer, and for the one who runs the studio. For the artist, for you, it works differently. If you take your work serious and you book the studio for 10 o'clock, you need to be here at 10. Because if you're not here at 10, you come at 11, you want to lose that hour. So for me, if you do that, I don't mind, it's okay. But it's not a good thing. Apart from you losing money, it's not a good thing to come to studio and then you come late. Who will be happy? Even myself as an engineer, I won't be happy. I remember a situation whereby I was working with DJ Lemonka, and there was this other guy. He had to do Lemonka wanted to feature him on a beat, and this guy came late. First thing, he came late, and when he arrived, he got off the taxi. He was probably an hour, 30 minutes late. When he arrived, he got off the taxi and then he went straight to KFC to buy food. After buying food, he sat outside and then he ate. It took him another 40 minutes. And then he walked in the studio. My mood was literally out. I was like, you know what, Lemonka, I'm done with this guy. And then he walked in the studio. As he got to the studio, he didn't have his lyrics. He came with a memory stick, and he wanted me to print his lyrics. You want me to print lyrics for you? And Lemonka said to me that he gave you a beat 2 months ago. That's fine. I said to him, my printer is not working, but the printer was working. It's just that I wasn't really in a good mood for him. And then he had to sit and actually literally write down the lyrics, which took him another 40 minutes. And I just felt like, this is not on. And then we recorded, and as we were recording, he didn't even know what he was talking about. And then it was just a mess. So for me, it's very, very important. If you are an artist, come on time. Make sure that you're comfortable with studio, with everything. Make sure that you'll be asking me, George, do this, George, send more of this, or bring this and less of this. unlike you running and then you just walk in studio and then we just record and then we carry on and then you pay me. It's okay, it's business for me, but hey, it doesn't portray me as someone who knows his job out there, irrespective of how long I've been waiting for you. So it's important for you as an artist also to be punctual. Time is very, very important. The second thing that I want to touch base on when relating or regarding the studio, it's tidiness. Guys, the studio needs to be clean at all times. We need to keep the studio clean. Yes, I know that we watch television and then we see big producers, big artists with alcohol or with dissolved out go studio, and that's not on. You know, these are just equipment. You know, if you keep smoking in the room, these faders, you're affecting them. You know, you're creating dust that will actually stuck inside the fader. You know, and tomorrow you might have to go and spend thousands of rands just to go to get the equipment serviced. And you could have avoided that by not smoking in the studio. You know, the third part will be liquids and food. In studio, it's a no-no. This is not a restaurant. Studio, it's not a restaurant. We don't eat in studio. We do not drink while we're in studio. Then the alcohol and the food and whatever. That's why professional studios, you know, they will have a place a kitchen where you can eat. You know, here, yes, we do have a place, we have a kitchen where you can eat, but there's so many spaces out as you walk out of the studio where you can actually chill and have fun and eat and drink. And then after you eat, clean your hands and then come to studio. And then we carry on with the beautiful work. You know, the last thing that I want to talk about, communication. You know, when we're in studio, most of the time, you're recording people, they are not happy, and you're not happy. But still, you're doing it for money, which, when it gets out there, you're not doing your best, but when it gets out there, you'll be judged on that. As a producer and as an artist, you need to have an understanding. You need to have a better communication system. That if you say, can we try this? Can we do this? Can we, you know, it needs to be there so that you're not forcing yourself or you're not forcing your ideas in the artist's work, or the artist is also forcing his own ideas in your work. And the artist and the producer, they need to come to a common understanding that the engineer in studio will actually take orders from the producer and not from the artist. So the artist will talk to the producer, and then the producer will make a decision and talk to the engineer. If the artist is not happy, he will talk to the producer. When the engineer is not happy about whatever that the artist is doing, he will talk to the producer. In that way, we have one center whereby we can actually all go to, because in big recordings, producers are actually hired by record companies and they give feedback to record companies, and engineers are hired by the producer, or record companies will book a studio and the producer will get his own engineer. So record companies, when they need feedback about something that they're not happy about, they don't need to say the engineer did that or the artist did that. They just simply need to say, I agreed, or I actually instructed the artist to do that, or I instructed the artist to change from this to that. That's very, very important. That communication, we seem to miss it, more especially here locally in South Africa. We tend to miss that because we produce our own stuff and we get our own artists, you know, to that we produce. And sometimes you find that the engineer is not happy with the artist, or there is a misunderstanding between the engineer and the artist. But it's caused by the producer, because the producer was supposed to be the center, whereby he needs to tell, at the beginning of the session, the producer needs to simply say, hey guys, you know what, I am at the center. If you're not happy about the take that we did, you need to tell me so that we can redo with the engineer. If you're not happy about how the artist is doing 1, 2, 3, you need to let me know so that I can actually speak to them, because if you do talk to them straight, they may not be happy. So those are the things that I want us to understand about the studio. The studio, it's a beautiful place, like I said. When it comes to, I want to go back maybe to liquids and alcohol. You know, let's treat the studio like our workplace, because for me, studio, it's a workplace. So you never, ever, ever, Panya, you can tell me, do you take alcohol to your desk when you're working? David Jacque, can you take that to your desk? You cannot take food to your desk. You know, those are the things that you need to look at, that, you know what, if I cannot do this at a corporate place or at a corporate situation or at a corporate environment, why will I take it to the studio? Why do I have to eat in the studio? Why do I have to make noise in the studio? It is one thing that actually irritates me, and I always I'll give my students a project, and you find that maybe it's 6 or 7 of them. They are busy recording in a studio, and as they are recording, I will walk out for 30 or 40 minutes. When I walk back, I can hear people just talking. That one actually irritates me, and I'll be like, well, how can you actually be talking in the studio? This is very, very serious. We need to hear everything. You know, the most important thing as an engineer in studio is to hear, listening to everything that goes right and anything that will go wrong, so that you pick it at that time. Because when something is recorded and the artist is gone, you can't actually change anything about it. You know, you might have to get them back, but if it's your mistake, it's going to cost you. Guys, my name is George Furness. I am the artist, I am the producer, I am the recording engineer, I'm the mixing engineer, I'm the mastering engineer, I am the DJ, and all those things that I talk about, hey, I actually teach them. I'm a lecturer. I'm a head of production at Copa, the Johannesburg branch. Have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself. You know, Kidi 15, are chilling, panya, don't go too far. You know, just stay, play around home. Chill. See you next week with another episode. Bye.